Hello everyone, welcome to today's exciting clip. No one would truly believe such a reason, but he had no choice but to pretend to believe it. Fortunately, the car was swiftly repaired. He even took off a tracker from the engine. What a waste. The penalty lady isn't that naive. She immediately thought of using a phone to test his reaction. But when he heard about the police report, he cleverly used it as a mole in the police excuse to decline. Then they went to his house, which wasn't what she expected. This wasn't a deserted building, but a bustling residential area. His house was much more ordinary than imagined. What put her at ease was that he generously lent her his phone and offered to take her to the embassy. What a perfect gentleman. In the end, he just ditched her for a bathroom break, showing no signs of holding her hostage. When he came out, looking all rugged, it was quite the surprise. Seeing he couldn't bandage his wound, she offered the gauze. It was her first close male contact in years. Her wild thoughts were far off. He quickly dashed to the restroom to grab a wet towel upon seeing his blooded face. Then came his explosive repertoire of intimate gestures, like a clumsy fall to wipe his face. When he mentioned taking her to the embassy, she surprisingly didn't jump for joy, but looked a bit down. Soon after, her husband arrived at the embassy, but no matter how he asked, she remained unfazed. It wasn't until the bodyguard asked about witnesses that her eyes lit up, but alas, it was a step too late. After taking the statement, he slipped away, but the captain's expression changed dramatically upon seeing the signature. It was his prize recruit. They had even planned to meet just days prior. This assassination attempt really made for some strange timing. Meanwhile, penalty lady ignored her husband's disapproval and decided to host a press conference, claiming she was targeted by extreme organizations for her charitable work. Fearlessly standing firm against threats skyrocketed her ratings, yet her husband and mother-in-law were both green with envy in front of the TV. Her mother-in-law even smashed the TV on the spot, hissing, "That person, get rid of them." Rumor has it that families in a penalty house never take family photos for a fleet. Their dirty little secrets would be exposed. Times I'll take the eldest daughter-in-law of the penal family as an example. She calmly met the mistress after catching her husband cheating. As her husband's brother's wife, Wansi first saw her soon after marriage, swallowing her anger and bearing a son. Had her son not tragically passed while skiing, their relationship wouldn't have hit rock bottom. Little did Wansi know, she underestimated the other party's determination. Once she met her husband while doing charity work, she thought it was love at first sight, but the other party revealed. At the time, her husband was not only with her but also had a public girlfriend who sadly died of drug overdose. Little did she know, he had to head to Africa to pursue Wansu, the so-called charity angel, to salvage his reputation. However, the woman didn't anticipate that after listening, Wansu would remain completely unperturbed. She then hurriedly went to find the matriarch and recounted the day's events in meticulous detail. To her surprise, the matriarch fell deep in thought. The woman and child went to continue the family line, but to oust the eldest daughter-in-law. Now she ended up shooting herself in the foot. Quickly, she called her lawyer, and upon learning the child was her biological family, immediately arranged for a family photo shoot. As the scene changed, the family photo setup was ready. Wansi found it odd, but didn't dwell on it. It wasn't until she arrived at the shooting location and spotted the boy sitting there that everything clicked. Grandma wanted her and the boy to acknowledge that. She turned to her husband, only to find a smug grin on his face, leading her to confront Grandma. Did Grandma really want to air the family's dirty laundry just because she wouldn't let her touch the funds? To her shock, Grandma turned the focus on Wansi's lost child, claiming that it was Wansi who refused to disclose the news, and now was the perfect time to pull a switcheroo. This made Wansi's hair stand up. Grandma wanted the boy to know his roots and be his mother. It was the day for the family photo, and Wansi could only sit there with a face like thunder. Don't be fooled by Grandma's current smiles. She'd soon pay a heavy price. The last straw for Wansi was when Grandma ordered the boy to stay in her son's room and told the housekeeper to toss out all of her son's belongings. Though Wansi wanted to lick her wounds alone, anger and grief made her hit the gas as she left, leading to an accident. Fortunately, bodyguard Su Dae-yoon arrived just in time, jumping right in without hesitation. She completely ignored the get-out orders. Protecting Wansi was her mission. Unfortunately, they weren't just regular housewives. Wansi had to compromise. In fact, nothing happened that night. After being rejected 3 times, Wansi decided to fire her. Yet, Dae-yoon had to come clean. Her friend was murdered months ago. Although that assassination failed, the culprit wouldn't give up easily. Therefore, she chose to protect Wonsu, ultimately looking out for her. The bodyguard remained silent at present, but upon seeing Wonsu clearing away the sand with her hands, she couldn't help but squat down to assist. Truly a joyful act. However, Wonsu didn't want to return to the penalty house today. Instead, she stopped at a mountain mobile villa. As soon as she parked, she found her husband inside. He noticed their intimate behavior and, upon her entry, Wonsu, quite unusually, extended an invite. I have to admit, her husband's emotional intelligence was quite lacking. Even gentle words need the right timing. Her attempt at being forward backfired, and it was right then that the bodyguard charged in and firmly restrained the man. After all, her husband was the vice president of the penalty council, and the conflict between him and Wonsu wasn't something she could meddle in. Thankfully, Wonsu decided to leave just in time, sparing her from his fury. Subtitle: Let's never underestimate this seemingly frail old lady. Regardless of how robust a young tiger may be, they cannot withstand even a single move from her. She possesses the highest judo rank in all of Korea, namely the rank of the penalty chairman. The subtitles read, "This outcome completely stunned all the bodyguards. Unexpectedly, the female chairman not only didn't get angry, but also extended her hand for the guy to assist her." Judging by the other bodyguards' expressions, she was clearly not the first to be targeted. But the assistant didn't care. She immediately pushed her away. However, as the top penalty chairwoman, the more difficult it was to get a handle on things, the more excited she became. After dealing with the assistant, she could hardly contain her eagerness to roll her sleeves up. However, her cheerful mood unexpectedly took a nosedive when she saw this photo. The woman depicted in it turned out to be her eldest daughter-in-law, and the one who led the way was none other than her eldest daughter-in-law's personal bodyguard. I must admit, the paradoxes within the penalty family are truly astonishing, and the intelligence level of this woman is indeed deeply concerning. She even went so far as to suggest that her assistant should hold a press conference to acknowledge that she was not the one who snatched love away.